This is In Touch with Terry, a power-packed podcast for the medical aesthetics industry.
I just discovered your podcast, and I feel like I've hit a gold mine.
This is someone who's got a lot of knowledge. She's been there, done that.
Terry Ross is a former Fortune 500 executive, international speaker, founder and co-CEO of Apex Platform, and Terry Ross Consulting.
Just listening to her energy and her passion and just how hardcore she is.
Her knowledge of the industry and just her connections in general are phenomenal.
In Touch with Terry will bring you solutions to increase operational and employee efficiency and practice profitability. Plus, features some of the top industry experts as guests.
The Apex team literally changed the game for us.
Terry, your courses and your podcast are just so helpful.
She made me feel like I could do this.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Now, here's Terry.
Hey tribe, what's going on? It's Terry Ross here with In Touch with Terry, and I am so excited for this episode, really where we're just going to get down and dirty and have like a fireside chat with a girlfriend of mine, an Apex user, and just a ride or die boss bitch, right? That, I had the pleasure of meeting at last year's Vegas Cosmetic Surgery meeting. And, we just really had each other at hello. And so I want to welcome Karen Janitel to In Touch with Terry. Karen, hi, honey. How are you? Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you so much. It's so nice to talk to you.
Well, I know we've both been so busy. And for those of you that are listening, again, thank you so much for always tuning in. Our whole intention is, again, to really bring value to the show so that you guys have an opportunity to learn and ask questions and comment and share. And I really wanted to have Karen here today for a couple of reasons. This industry is growing exponentially. And I think that oftentimes, there's so many people wanting to get into the space, not sure what to do, perhaps changing transitions and careers, maybe thinking it's easier than what it really is. And what I love about Karen is that she has been a VP of sales and marketing for 35 years in corporate America, working for companies such as Apollo Group, Kaiser, and Bally's. And then she had an opportunity to change her lifestyle in her career, working for her daughter, who is a surgeon, Dr. Janessa Iannatelli in Arizona. And they own Advanced Image Med Spa, an elite wellness center for the past 8 years in Glendale, Arizona. And Karen acts as the COO and practice manager. So, when I met Karen, I was so impressed with her background in corporate America, which her and I shared that background together. And despite Karen's tremendous success in corporate America, this is a different beast. So Karen, thank you again for being here. Tell us a little bit about you and how you ended up getting into aesthetics.
Well, like you said, I have been in huge corporate America, really my entire career. And I always loved it. I mean, I really enjoyed the challenges and just the constant learning, the constant struggles, all the things that really, get your adrenaline flowing. But then in 2010, I actually got advanced stage breast cancer. And after sitting in my office, I was in the parking lot after a full day, and it took me 2 hours to drive home. I decided that maybe it was too much for me as I was going through treatment. But as God works in his very amazing ways, my daughter, Dr. Iannatelli, decided that she was going to open a medical spa about a year later. And it was such a perfect synergy. I've always loved that space. I started out years and years ago modeling. So I've always had so many people, they pick at you, right? And they don't understand it's not about vanity. It's really about the core of who you are. And so going through what I was going through and then having an opportunity to mesh my skills with my daughter's skills in an area that I felt so passionate about, it was just one of these amazing, God things.
Well, God, thank you so much for sharing such a personal story about yourself. And today you are thriving and healthy and gorgeous as ever. When you were going through that spout of cancer, deciding to obviously maybe slow down a little bit, right? And make that transition, getting into this medical wellness spa place and obviously having the opportunity to work with your daughter. how did that affect having, again, being a woman, right? We're so drawn to the way we look and the way we feel. But like you said, it's not just a vanity thing. There's more important reasons to that. How has that even changed your mentality as now acting as a COO and a practice manager, still having to wear a business hat, but also going through something so emotional?
Well, I'll tell you, it was kind of like a miracle because I had such advanced stage cancer. I had 3 different rounds of chemo. I had 37 radiations. I've had 20 surgeries. So I looked really sick, but I was feeling better and better and better. But when I looked in the mirror, it didn't reflect at all who I was at all. So, I think that a lot of women get at that place for a lot of different reasons. Unfortunately, mine was cancer. But, as we age, when we look in the mirror, if we don't see what we feel, it's devastating. And I did not want to look in the mirror and see a sick person anymore. And after my daughter, Dr. Nadelli, put fillers back in my cheeks, because of course, instead of losing the fat from my butt, I lost it from my face.
Of course, as
No,
always,
of
never
course.
where we wanted it to be.
Of course. I could appreciate from the core of my soul not looking like a sick person anymore and looking like the person that I knew I was and that I want to be. And so it gave me a position of understanding women in a very different way. It really is about being able to look in the mirror and see who you are. And that's really what it's all about. So, and that comes in a lot of different ways. And everybody has something that makes them feel less than. And as women, we shouldn't feel less than. So where I am now, I feel so empowered because I can help my daughter, which I love, but I help all these women and men both. And it's just a very, very gratifying place to be. And I understand it at such a deep level.
God, again, thank you so much for sharing. And I'm so blessed to call you a friend and so proud to know you. And more importantly, that you've just really persevered with a lot of strength, right? To get through what you've had to go through to come out on the other side. And I'm going to jump ahead. I really want this podcast to almost be, lessons learned of what it takes, right? To run a successful medical aesthetics practice from a woman who, again, has this dynamic corporate background. So I'm going to jump ahead, Karen, if you don't mind, because I love what you just said, that you have an opportunity to take something tragic that has happened to you, but turn it into being able to look at this aesthetic industry as not just women or men wanting to look better for vanity reasons, but from an emotional perspective. And I know that because we've been friends and you've listened to my talks, that I am passionate about educating, right? But ultimately we're selling, right? We're selling something. We're selling a treatment plan. We're selling an outcome. We're selling results. We're selling the experience. And so how has that been able to help you sell? That sounds silly, but right, when working with these women or men, how has that shifted your mindset, whether it's feeling like you're selling or really offering them, again, this dynamic treatment plan because you're helping them?
Well, one of the really cool things about my background, having literally hundreds of salespeople working for me, is I always felt like to be a salesperson, if you're a good salesperson, you are one of the greatest, kindest human beings on earth because you're listening, right? You're hearing what people say, you're taking what they say, and then you're molding what they're saying into what you have that can help them with what they're addressing specifically to you. So from the sales perspective, learning to listen, and, when people talk to you, especially, it's just like the conversation you and I are having today. I'm sharing things that are very important to me, and being acknowledged and being listened to is so critically important, right? If you would have just brushed over that and acted like I didn't say it, it could really hurt me. So bringing that to the aesthetic world and understanding that, yes, you are selling, but if you're listening, all you're doing really is solving problems for people, giving them options, helping them figure out a way to get where they want to be. And I think that's part of what's always bothered me about sales, right? People think it's a negative thing, and it's such a positive thing. And even with you, you know, one of the reasons I was so attracted to you when I was listening to your master classes, you were so generous of spirit. And a good salesperson is generous of spirit. You didn't say in those courses, and I know you've heard me say this several times, but it wasn't, buy this and then I'll give you the key to all the things we were just discussing, right? You actually address the issues, share the answers. And so, in my opinion, that part of sales, and especially in the aesthetic industry, when you're dealing with something so sensitive, is a way people feel about themselves, the way that reflects in their looks, and how their looks determine how each and every day is for them. I mean, that's really important.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Karen. And you hit the nail on the head. And I know we share that same mentality that people we talk so much, right? We talk and we defend and we skip over. We don't do the acknowledging part and the listening part. And I think that's such a key takeaway that you're sharing. And again, thank you for the kind words. I mean, I really feel when people ask me, I'm interviewing right now, we're in hyper growth mode, and people ask me like, what makes me unique, or why did I start this company? And at the end of the day, all I humbly want to do is help people. Like I have no other motivation other than seeing these practices at all different stages, startup, 10 years, 5 years, 30 years, it doesn't matter. The business aspect of running an aesthetic practice is unique, right? It's so different. And I say it often, there's no MBA school there. That's why we developed Apex. But let's dive into that piece, because I think, again, you bring a lot to the table, and I think a lot of people can learn from you. How has you transitioning into being the COO and the practice manager, right, for this great business in Glendale, Arizona, your daughter? What is it like managing a practice versus being in your corporate days? And what are the 3 biggest lessons that you feel that you've learned?
First thing I learned is that it's way more stressful working for your daughter when you know it's her entire life versus working for a multi-million or billion-dollar company.
Touche.
That is very different. Oh my goodness. And the other thing about the aesthetic business, I think, different than the corporate world, is that everything is very, very personal. And we're dealing with very personal issues. And in running the practice, all that comes back to that from both your staff and your patients or customers, whatever you call them. And I think that is really huge. I think the other thing I learned was the thing I didn't really like until I found you in Apex was that there's not much help in this world. And even I have a really extensive background, and I felt like I was alone in the desert. And, every direction I turned, there was no water. Even when I paid the water salesman, there was no water. So, that was a big wow moment for me.
Again, you have such a strong business background. So now you're in this practice, you're trying to navigate through the waters. You have staff to manage, which you have done in the past. You have business to run. You have patient management software. You have, patients coming in. You need to know what's profitable, all the things. What skill sets did you know you have, but then you thought, oh my God, this is completely different? Or what are the things that I need to know the most to be able to make this practice profitable and successful?
Well, I think it goes back to my feeling like I was out in the middle of the desert thing, because I'm used to being in industries. Well, there's all these matrix of information where you know how to benchmark, if you're doing well, if you're not doing well. You have so much information available. And in the aesthetics world, in the med spa world, there is not that. And I was not used to that at all. I run a business based on knowledge, right? So you have all these skills, which is great. I have the skills, but if you don't know how to apply them in the space you're in, it doesn't matter. And I know my daughter and I both felt like we just, we didn't know, are we doing the right things? Are we charging the right prices? Are we at the level we should be? What is a correct expectation? What isn't okay? What is okay? And, and as much as I looked to find that information, and we actually hired several consultants, it wasn't out there. And so for us, that was, and for me in particular, always having had all that, platform to build me on, right? So I have the skill set, but without the knowledge to apply those skills correctly, it doesn't matter if you have skills. You're just kind of like in the middle of the ocean and you're paddling. If there's no boat to save you, you're still going to drown. You can only paddle so long, right? So that's kind of how it felt.
So when we met, thank you. And I want to repeat it back what Karen said, because this is, again, her words from a client and from a friend's perspective. So I hope if you're listening that this really can resonate with you on a grounded and a humble perspective, that if you're seeking change, right? If you want to get further faster, if you're not okay with status quo and mediocrity, and you really want to, know that you are an entrepreneur, that we're here to help you do that. And I think when I met Karen, to what you just said, were you at a tipping point, like when we met and you decided to invest in Apex? Like, why? What in that stage were you ready to or kill yourself? I don't know. Close the doors.
I was so stressed and frustrated, and actually. And for me, I don't get discouraged very easy. I am a tough old broad. And I mean, for good or for bad, it's the truth.
That's why you're my soul sister, right? Listen, we got that tough, thick skin.
Oh, Lord. But you want to know you're doing the right things. And when I met you, I was so over the top. And I think this is what's really important. And if you've been in the industry any period of time at all, I know you'll agree with the words that I'm saying, but everybody promises something in this industry and almost nobody delivers. They say all the time, the best way to get rid of a machine rep laser, whatever, is to buy it, because then they're gone, right? And we have experienced that. I know it's true, but I knew when I met you, because I had attended so many of those master classes, that that's not who you were. And literally the second I met you, you're lucky you didn't have to call the police, because I just wanted to hug you and not let you go. Because I felt like, oh my gosh, this is a real person. They really do want to help. And even then, though I didn't know 100% for sure, I felt in my soul 100% that for the first time since I've been in this industry, that I was actually going to be partners with people who cared about the end result, not selling me the damn whatever it was they wanted to sell, but actually caring about the fact that what they're talking to me about meant something very special to me, and they weren't going to leave me there all alone, throw it at me and run away. And from everyone I met on your team, I just felt that sense stronger and stronger. And, I'm a very enthusiastic kind of girl, but I fell in love with the whole team. I fell in love with Mitch and Robbie, and I hadn't even met Dana yet. Now I'm in love with her too. So, but I just knew when I met you that you were the real thing. And it wasn't at all like your typical sales situation. It was like a relationship. I found my mate and we were going to live happily ever after. And it made all the difference in the world to me. It was so exciting.
Thank you so much. I mean, look, you can bring tears to my eyes, but I do remember we went back to the booth and we were tied at the hip. We were hugging. You met Sloan, my little daughter, and yes. You know what? I just want to say too that you and so many others, but you guys are the reason I do what I do. And when I'm able to work with such strong women and professionals and people that actually care enough to want to invest in their business, right? Because I can give people the tools, our team, and the solutions, but I can't make you drink the water, right? I can get you, right? I can get you out of the desert and I can give you all the water, but if you're not willing to drink it, there's nothing we can do. And I really want to say that, you are also someone who, you're willing to admit, I don't know what I don't know, right? You want to find a partnership, and yet you show up, right? You show up every week on these coaching calls, and you're just there, devoted to your craft, to being the best, right? To wanting to have the best practice and to learn. Like you said, people can have all the skills in the world, right? But it's how are we going to apply them so that you are as efficient and your team is as efficient and you're profitable and the procedures are. So thank you so much. That just means, so much to me. Now that you were able to kind of incorporate and work with us or figure out some of the tools and the resources within Apex, I think it speaks volumes as to, again, you're busy, right? People can easily say, I don't have time to do this. And it's how long is it going to take? And it's going to take or I'm not going to do it at all. All those excuses, right? Then you're not ready, right? You're not really ready to invest in your business and take it to the next level. But, what economic benefit, like what things have you learned that has been helpful for you in taking your practice to the next level?
Well, having industry metrics.
Yeah. Hey,
I
amen.
mean, oh my gosh. I mean, from the very first day when we got the system, and it's like you said, it is a commitment because you have to want to get better. And I was more than aware of knowing that what I didn't know. And my daughter puts it, she says it's kind of like bar rescue, right? You're running your business. You don't know what you're doing. And the problem is that we're not a huge business. We don't have 50 people working for us. I don't have an accountant and a business manager and 50 people to do all the things that need to be done. So when you have those metrics and the way the platform is set up, first off, we found out where we should be. So financially, that means everything. And yes, it was difficult. And yes, your team held all of our hands on my team as we were going through this. But we didn't know how much true profit we were making with each thing that we were doing, with every procedure. We really didn't know. I mean, we were booked all the time, but what we discovered was we were booked with a lot of the wrong things. We also
say it again, Karen. Say it again, because I cannot say it again because that's going to come from your mouth, not mine.
Well, if you don't know what's making you a profit, and we didn't, you can be busy all day long and not make any money. And that we were doing way too much of that.
Oh my God. Right. Busy. I love it. And I hear that so often. Terry, we are slammed. We are so busy. We are 3 to 4 months booked out, right? And then when you look at the profitability, more importantly, when you look at the revenue per hour, if you don't even know what the benchmark should be, you're just busy all day doing the wrong stuff. So, God, I love, so, kind of back to what you were saying. So you were able to increase your prices. How has that helped you even be a leader and coach your team now that you knew what these revenue per hour benchmarks should be?
Well, it really does. It takes all the emotion out of everything. It's black and white. These are the numbers. This is what's expected. This is what you need. And my conversations with, our team are very different because now it's not me thinking what I think we should be doing or what I think should be happening. It's really simple. I can show them in black and white. And simple things. Here's a dumb thing, but it was huge. Constantly arguing with them about who's putting numbing cream on. Right? I mean, that sounds so stupid. But when you multiply out that 15 minutes based on using your tool over a year and what that actually costs the practice, no, numbing cream's not that expensive, but it's really expensive when you multiply 15 minutes times all the times you do it. I mean, and that's just one example of so many things. So it changed the conversation. It's like anything, the whole thing about knowledge is power. When you're coming from a place where you're really sure you know what you're talking about because now you have that information, it just comes across differently. It feels different. And I know that my team felt the same way, because when I could sit down and explain to them, and I mean, it goes to the most basics. Because of Apex and because of the meetings, I found out, even about paying my staff the way I should pay them, about, the procedures, about the cost of procedures, about there wasn't a single layer that wasn't touched. But because I had all this information, the conversation and getting there was completely different. And the fact that I had people holding my hands the whole way, and then Dana was reassuring me that my entire team wouldn't leave when I changed things. And you live in so much fear, I think, or at least I was, about doing the right thing and about making sure that people felt like I was coming from the right place, that it was good for us, but it was also very good from them, and that it was what was expected throughout the industry. I mean, it changed everything for us.
And God, thank you so much. I mean, I really hope that Karen's message, like she's living, eating, breathing, doing it day in and day out. And I think this is just the stuff that people need to hear, like the real raw truth. Because again, you've showed up on these coaching calls, and I want to ask two last questions that I think are going to be really important. And one is, when you were thinking about Apex, now there are people, the story, I did it, right? When COVID hit, Terry Ross Consulting went up about 70%. And I was at a tipping point. I was trading time for dollars. So people still have this sort of mentality like, oh God, I still need Terry, or I still need private consulting. There's nothing wrong with that. But you and I had that conversation way back when. Would you say, again, being a businesswoman, you're smart, you have knowledge, you have skills, you've ran teams, you've done these things. Would you say that having the ability to have coaching calls every week has given you that sort of same one-on-one feel, but for a fraction of the cost, and yet on-demand resources where you have it at your fingertips all the time?
It has been amazing on so many levels for me. It's hard to express. First off, I'm sure that other people can relate to this. I feel like I have a community now. I never felt that way. I mean, there are nice people, of course, in Arizona, and nice practices, but there was never the kind of camaraderie or the community. People wouldn't share information because it could hurt them, or in their mind, it could hurt them. I'd never been in an industry that was so close, that people would not share. And when I go to those meetings, I can't wait for them. I love them. I feel like I have a community. I'm learning not just from whoever's leading the meeting, whether that's Dana or Robbie or you, but I'm also learning from all the people in the room. Yeah. I have never met such generous, truly generous, kind people. And it is so much better than one-on-one. I can tell you, because whenever I have a question, even when there's not a meeting, one of your team will always get back to me. But then I can bring things to a meeting and I can hear lots of different ideas about it. We chat, we talk. I mean, it has been life-changing for me. And I finally feel like I am not out in the middle of that desert by myself. I have all these people with me. And also it was wonderful to hear from people that I had not only my own problems, was not just me, it was everybody. So I didn't feel quite so dumb.
Yeah. I love that. And tell me how your practice did last year, right? Tell me, I mean, I know you had so many changes, like you said, price changes, compensation changes, eliminating resources. You had to hire staff. Like, you went through like the gamut. And I know that so many people listening are in this same predicament. And again, you're not alone, right? Karen's just been a tremendous resource. But
thank the Lord.
No, truly. Like, where did you guys end up last year? And, how are you feeling about 2022?
Well, there's a couple other things that I think people really need to know too, is that not only do you have this amazing team, but your amazing team will refer other amazing teams that you can trust to help also bring everything together. Like I said, we don't have our own individual everything. But now, because of going to those meetings and being with Apex and being with you, we have all the support. There is no way in a million years I would have had the time to figure out what the heck was going on. But because of the team and your team helping me with other teams that now I brought in as well, that everybody works so symbiotically with each other. Well, we grew 40% last year.
Oh my God. Hallelujah, honey. I'm so proud and impressed, and congratulations for just working your tail feathers off and being just so committed to making change. I can't really, from the bottom of my heart, that means the world to me.
Well, let me tell you something. When you're running a race and you have your coach running right next to you, and if you fall down, they pick you up and they dust your knees off. And I mean, you have a child, you put the spray on the knee and clean it up, and then it's really easy. Then it's not frustrating. It's not. I mean, it was a lot of work. I always tell everyone I talk to, yes, it's a lot of work, but it's not by yourself, and you're not. You've got all these people always willing to help you every minute. And for us to grow 40% over the prior year, yes, the prior year was COVID, but I don't care. 40% is 40%. And now we feel like this year, at least we know what the heck we should be doing and what we can be doing. And it just changes everything for us.
Oh my, I promise to God, you guys, I did not pay her. This was not an Apex commercial, I promise. But again, I felt compelled to, again, there's so many people that reach out, whether it's through our Aesthetic Insight group or on my Instagram or Facebook, and people reach out and they are in your predicament, Karen, or they're thinking about starting, or they're in business. They're high-end plastic surgeons or cosmetic derms or whatever, wanting to scale and like just so confused about all the things. And I think you hit the nail on the head. The community was such a big aspect for me, like to try to give up what I love to do. And I love this. I love the human element in this conversation because it means more to me than anything, right? But it means more to me to be able to reach the masses in a way that we're still there. But it's also what you said. It is the commitment. It's the commitment to show up and do the work, right? And that just takes, the effort. So I am so honored to have had you on this. And if there was two things this year, if they were to invest in two things, and this isn't even about Apex, this is in general, from anything that you've learned, right? What would those things be so that they can go into this year not making the same mistakes and be set up for success?
Well, I know you said it doesn't need to be about Apex, but I will tell you, to be a part of a community of people who have the resources and the knowledge to literally change your life. And I don't care. I mean, we've been in business 8 years, so we're not brand new. God knows if we would have had you since the start, it would have been amazing. I would have probably twice as much hair, which would be really nice. But, I would just say that don't be afraid. There's a whole bunch of people like me and way smarter than me who are out there who want to help support you as well. The Apex team literally changed the game for us. I now feel like that we can operate from a place of knowledge. And I know that everyone wants to operate from a place of knowledge. And why not have a group of people that you can bitch with, that you can cry with, that understand the same ridiculous stuff that we all go through in this industry and can give you love and support and wonderful, just like I said, really just the camaraderie with the knowledge. You need to do it. And I'd love to see you in the meetings. I want lots of new friends. Everyone I've met has been so amazing. And I can only imagine what next year's going to bring. So I'm sorry, it has to be about Apex. They have to grow our team and come be a part of the community.
Oh, honey, thank you so much for that. Well, again, guys, Tribe, thank you so much for listening. I really want to just, again, say I'm so grateful for Karen Janatel, VP, right, COO, practice manager of Advanced Image Med Spa and Elite Wellness in Glendale, Arizona. It's been incredible, again, to call you a friend, to call you a client, to work with somebody who's just so deeply committed. So thank you so much for sharing, again, your personal story, the transition of your career. I think that your your background and what you've been through can resonate with so many people. So you guys, if you found this episode valuable and a friend or a colleague could value from listening to this episode, I invite you to please share, like, comment. Everything we do, again, is really all about you. So thank you guys so much for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of In Touch with Terry. Ciao.
Thanks for listening to In Touch with Terry. If this podcast episode and Karen's story resonated with you regarding how Apex Platform guided her medical spa to massive growth in such a short time, then perhaps it's time for you to take the leap and take massive action to improve and elevate your business just like Karen did, and not just settle for the status quo. We invite you to schedule a discovery call with our Apex team. The link to apexplatform.com can be found in the show notes. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of In Touch with Terry.